Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to historic St. Cecilia's Gym for what's turning into a truly special afternoon. Before we get started, I'd like to turn your attention to the screens on either side of me for a short video.
Every day in Detroit, there are thousands of kids asking the same question. Where can I go after school where I can be safe, where I can learn, where I can have some recreation, and I can get home safely? When we started Say Detroit in 2006, the answer had been nowhere. The schools locked themselves up at 3 o'clock. There were no after-school programs. There was no place for them to go to be safe, protected from the dangers of the streets, or even to wait for their parents to get home from school while doing anything productive. But we thought, what if that changed? What if we could build a place where Detroit kids could safely arrive, get fed, play, and keep learning after their school day ended? And with that, this special place called the Say Play Center at Lipke Park was born. We had a vision that the Say Play Center would be a place where learning comes first and everything else wraps around the kids to get them the support they need to be successful.
Our day starts with our transportation. We're able to provide transportation from nearly 20 schools every school day. We feed them, and then we engage them in an array of academic supports.
After their academics, we offer a host of electives here at Say Play. Those electives can vary from esports to programming and coding, all the way to fashion design and art programs as well.
And at the end of each program day, we drop nearly 90% of our kids off at their homes.
And something really powerful happens. Their confidence grows, their grades improve. We have an average 3.1 GPA, a 100% improvement in reading scores, a 100% graduation rate from 8th grade. This isn't just an after-school care or warm place to hang out. These are significant, impactful changes amongst Detroit kids, literally building Detroit's future by nurturing the very kids who will become our city's community leaders in the next decade.
The semester before I got here, my GPA was a 2.1 or something like that, and the last 3 semesters, I had a 3.5 the entire time.
The Say Play Center at Lipke Park started as an idea, but it pretty soon grew into a phenomenon. And as often happens with phenomenons, it got bigger and bigger and bigger. So big that we're overflowing here at Lipke Park on the east side of Detroit. So we thought, what if we bring this concept, the whole idea, maybe even the way it looks, over to the west side of Detroit? And that brought us to the iconic location of St. Cecilia's.
St. Cecilia's currently exists as a 2-story schoolhouse with over 25 classrooms, and next door to it is a gymnasium with a lot of opportunity. And so we are currently in the process of working with architects and builders to design a plan where we can replicate exactly what we do here at the Say Detroit Play Center at Lipke Park on the west side of the city. It is going to be called the Say Detroit Play Center at St. Cecilia's, and we're excited to debut that around January of 2028. By opening St. Cecilia's, it allows us to more than double the wonderful work that we're already doing in this community in another community of Detroit, which is currently outside of our reach.
We hope to affect the community around St. Cecilia's the same way we've affected the community here around Lipke Park. We could use support in all of our areas, both in sponsorship and in volunteers. We'd like to ask you to come along on a very special second round of our journey to make a future better for Detroit's kids.
So I'll try that again. My name is Rick Kelly, and I'm the Executive Director of Say Detroit. It's my pleasure to welcome you here to the historic St. Cecilia's Gym and School. For some of you, I'd like to say welcome back. I'd also like to add to that, in spite of our best attempts to get some air conditioning going here, now I truly know what it was like to play here in the summers back in the 60s and 70s. I've heard the great stories of cooking in the gym, and we're trying a little bit of that on you today. So, Say Detroit's mission is to provide pathways to success for Detroiters in need.
Each of the nonprofit's programming initiatives, which include the Say Detroit Family Health Clinic, our Working Homes, Working Families program, our My Cycle Bicycle program, our Better Together program, and the Youth Development Center, Say Detroit Play Center at Lipke Park, are designed to support and advance that mission. Without further ado, I would like to bring up the founder of Say Detroit. You know him as a columnist, long time in Detroit, as an author, as a philanthropist, and as a great addition to the city of Detroit when he came here back in the 80s. I'd like to introduce Mr. Mitch Albom.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick, and thank all of you for coming out here today. It's kind of overwhelming when I look at what has happened here, and I think that 20 years ago, the Super Bowl was here in Detroit, and I read a story about a party for the homeless that they were going to have during the Super Bowl, a Super Bowl party for the homeless. And I didn't understand what that was, and when I looked into it, I found out that it was a euphemism for taking all the homeless people off the streets and hiding them from the customers who were coming in for the Super Bowl. And then on Monday morning, when all those customers were gone, kicking them back out into the street. And I thought that was cruel, because I don't think you help people when it's convenient for you. You help people when they need it. And so I went down to the Detroit Rescue Mission Ministries. Chad Audi is here today. And he was kind enough to set me up to spend the night at a homeless shelter. And I went down there to write a story about what it means to spend a night at a homeless shelter and why you don't just give that to someone and then take it away. And I've told this story before, but while I was online at that homeless shelter, I got the blanket, I got the bar of soap, I got my bed assigned, and I was waiting for the meal, and there was a guy in front of me. And he turned around, he looked me over, up and down, he said, "Aren't you Mitch Albom?" I said, "Yeah." And then he looked me up and down again, he said, "So what happened to you?" Yeah, I laughed too. Also thought about getting a new wardrobe. But from that sentence, I realized he had every right to ask me that question, because why should I be so lucky that I wouldn't end up on a line at some point? Many of the people online during those years never thought that they would be on a line at a homeless shelter. You remember 2006, 7, 8, 9, a lot of people who used to dole out soup were on the other end of it after things went south and the mortgage crisis and all that. And so I never forgot that line. And I ended up coming back and writing a column about it and asking if we could raise enough money to keep the people in the homeless shelters until it got warmer in April. I was looking for $60,000, and I had, in 1 week, $320,000 from the people of Detroit and Michigan. And with that $320,000, I started something called Say Detroit, which stands for Super All Year Detroit, instead of Super One Weekend, which you would think a writer would come up with something better than that. But and to think that from that one night online at a homeless shelter that we have grown into the kind of organization that could even attempt something like this is truly humbling. And believe me, it isn't one person or even 2 or 3 people, it's all this type of help. So let me say here now, if you've ever played basketball during the 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s in Detroit, then you will confirm that we are standing on hallowed ground. St. Cecilia's, the Saint, was where players came to prove themselves, where competition was a sword, and many a college or even pro career was sharpened right here by its edges. But this building in this area is more than a place to play hoops. It was the center of a community once, the court and its church and the school building. And like many communities in our beloved city, it's had its share of hard times and challenges. But today we stand here at a turning point. And I don't say that with hubris. I say it the best way that a charity can say anything, from experience. More than 10 years ago, the mayor of our city, Mike Duggan, who is here today, came to me and asked me if Say Detroit could do anything with the many closed and abandoned rec centers here in the city. We visited more than 20 of them, and almost all were damaged or pillaged beyond repair. But we found one, Lipke Park, which had the bones, good bones. And from those bones, we built a living, breathing center that not only now caters to upwards of 300 kids a day, and not only offers first-class sports facilities, but even more importantly, education, opportunity, everything from STEM robotics to recording studios, and most importantly, hope. Hope. But not only all that, the center has boosted the neighborhood around it. People now want to live near a place where children are nurtured, because children are the heart of families, and families are the heart of communities, and communities are the heart of a city. A year before Mayor Duggan left office, last year or a little before, he came to me and said, "Hey, we're so proud of what you guys did at Lipke." And I said, "Thank you." And he said, "You've done some really amazing things there." And I said, "Thank you." And he said, "I'd really like you to do another one." And I said, "No, thank you." But when Mayor Duggan asks, he usually gets what he wants. And after searching around, here we are today to basically, as they say in basketball, run it again. Only this time we can avoid the learning curve and some of the herky-jerky steps of a first-time effort, and instead concentrate on doing things even bigger and better. And given that we are in 2026, not 2015, we'll be putting even more emphasis on technology, including introduction and access to careers in tech, as well as certificate training programs that lead to employment opportunities and computer labs, e-gaming resources and teams, drone training, makerspace, and IT training and certification. And with donors like Steve Ballmer aboard, you can bet that we'll be leaning even harder into tech equity and opportunity here in Detroit. In a second, several people, including Rick, our executive director, will lay out the actual dreams, but I just want to say that in American cities, dreams happen, but dreams stay dreams if you don't lock hands with other people to make them happen. You just can't do it by yourself in a city. And those people, many of them, are here. And I want to celebrate the incredible early philanthropy of our lead donors already, like Steve Ballmer, who we'll hear from in a minute, Gary Torgo and Huntington Bank, Roger Penske, who couldn't be here today but sent his regards, Wayne Weber, and many others who have managed to help us kick off this undertaking in this, not just this gym, but the whole space and the school building and the areas around it, with a startling $10 million in pledges already. That is a hefty number in the charity world. But at Say Detroit, we have always had a philosophy. We do not ever get into anything until we know we have at least half of the money already raised. And we are halfway there. Our goal for this incredible campus is a total of $20 million, which will cover not only all the construction and new things that we're building, but also the initial operating costs. So there's much more work to be done. We want to make sure that the Detroit youth we serve get the same great opportunities as kids in our wealthiest suburbs. When we did our center at Lipke Park, we did not say we're going to build a center that's good enough for the 48205, which was the most dangerous neighborhood in the United States of America at the time. We never say that. You don't build down, you build up. Because if you build down, people don't dream. You build up so people can aspire. So we wanted to build a center that people in West Bloomfield would walk into and go, wow, this place is something. And we're going to do the same thing here. So this is hallowed ground, and we hope to make it even more than hallowed ground. We hope to make it hopeful ground and helpful ground and a place of dreams. And I am very, very humbled to have so many of you here, from great athletes who have played here. Mayor Bing was recounting one of his games here down below, downstairs, and Vinnie Johnson from the Pistons, and Tom Izzo, who came all the way down from East Lansing, and to have three mayors. I don't know how many events get three mayors, but but Mayor Bing and Mayor Duggan and Mayor Sheffield, our current wonderful mayor, all here in the same place. That's something. So you all have led Detroit, and we hope to serve Detroit, and I am very, very proud to kick this event off. Thank you for listening to me, and Rick will come back and detail things now.
Thank you, Mitch. I'm glad you took a shot at naming all the important people in this room, because there are a lot of them, and I don't want to leave anybody out today. But I do want to also say that I spoke to Mayor Archer this week, and he also sends his best along. We were trying to have a 4-mayor group here this afternoon. We came close, but Dennis is doing well, and he sent his best as well. I also want to mention Judith Curitin is here, Earl's widow, and from out of town. Earl and Ike and Dave really had a vision for this place years ago, and we're just lucky enough to be a part of continuing to carry that forward. So lastly, I just want to mention over here we have Mr. Sam Washington Jr. Sam, would you stand up for a second? Sam's father was the original runner of the St. Cecilia's Gym here. You'll see his name on the floor. Without Sam, none of us would be here today, and his vision to make this into the facility that it became really changed the life of many kids in this city. So we're grateful for you to still be a part of this. And Sam went on to run this gym for 19 years, I believe, after your dad's passing. And thank you very much, Sam, for being here today. Since 2015, the Say Detroit Play Center at Lipke Park has been a symbol of neighborhood pride on Detroit's east side, home to hundreds and hundreds of youth and their families each year. 2 years ago, we built a new educational annex, the Kelly and Matthew Stafford and Fred's Education Center, enabling us to double the number of kids that we were serving over there. And yet, even with that expansion and a brand new kitchen facility that we just got finished, we're bursting at the seams, which is why we're here today. We are looking to open this second center on the east side, which will allow us to again double the number of kids we see in the city of Detroit. So we're very excited about that. Without further ado, there's a lot more important people here to hear from today. I would like to bring up one of those former mayors, Mr. Dave Bing. If you would join me on stage here. I should add, philanthropist, businessman, NBA Hall of Famer, and one of Detroit's greatest citizens, Mr. Dave Bing. Thank you, sir. You bring up Ike when you're ready.
Some dreams come true. I can go back to 1968. I came to Detroit, wasn't born here, but I was raised here. I came here in 1966, and by 1968 is when I learned about this place. I met Sam Washington, and for the first time, I held out signing a contract with the Pistons. And I needed a place to practice. He said, I got just the place for you. Come on here anytime during the day or even at night, I'll let you have a key. And that was the beginning of pro basketball players coming here at my teammate, who was the #1 draft choice in 1967, was Jimmy Walker. And Jimmy and I had a great relationship, even though we played the same position. And we thought one way to expand the game of basketball in the city of Detroit was for pro players, mainly from the Pistons at that time, would come here. He would lead a team, and I would lead a team. And that happened in 1968, and here we are today. I say to you, over 40 players from the metropolitan area here played in this gym. I could go back and name a lot of the guys that you all could relate with, but some of the greatest players across the state, people started coming in, players came in from Indiana, from Chicago, from Cleveland, Ohio, just to play in this place. Sam Washington, I know you're up here looking down on what happened. Before I make my final remarks, I'd like for our former chief of police, who played a significant role in keeping this dream alive, Ike McKinnon, would you come on up with me, please?
I'm not this old now.
Here's a guy who, in his former career, had an unbelievable job trying to keep our city safe. And even after he retired, he's still doing that. And he had part of this dream. And I just want to say to Ike, Earl Curtin, who passed recently, were the guys that embodied what St. Cecilia was all about. So with that, let me turn this mic over to you, Ike.
Thank you. Thank you. So in 1967, we had a riot/rebellion. I was a young police officer who had 2 years on the job, and I was assigned to work in this area. And obviously it was a very dangerous time, but this guy named Sam Washington, he invited us as police officers to use a bivouac. He would feed us, he would let us come and rest here. At the same time, the kids would come in. And so there was an interaction with the kids, the police, even though we had this riot that was going on. And we would love interacting with the kids. And so as it went on, and Sam started a summer league. And those of us who thought we could play basketball, I should say those who thought, not us. Anyway, we thought we could play ball, and there was a summer league. And each team had one pro and those who thought we could on a team. I happened to be on Dave Bing's team. You laugh now. No. Anyway, so Dave is voted one of the 50 greatest basketball players ever. And we played, and I remember this one thing, and I've told this story before, and my wife said, don't tell it. I said, it's not going to embarrass you. I'm just going to laugh about it, But I'm on Dave's team, and of course, Dave is great. And I thought he was good, not great. And I could jump up and touch the basket back when I was in 1967. You think about it, I was old then. Anyway, so there's a fast break. Dave has the ball down here, and he is dribbling down here, and I'm headed to that basket, and I'm thinking, because I'm a young guy and I could jump, that I'm going to dunk this ball in here. Well, Dave throws me the pass, and that's the last time he saw the pass because I missed the shot. And Dave will tell you, that's the last time I got a pass from Dave. That's really the truth. Now, to make it even more so, the things that we continue to try and do. And so it was about 5 years ago, I received this call from Earl Curtin. He says, Ike, there's things that we have done, but we have to do more. We've got to try and make a difference in St. Cecilia. And through Dave, his wife, and others, we assembled a team of people who are trying to make this difference. Today, this sets it all free. This really does. I mean, think about this in terms of from 1967, when we used to come here as young police officers and interact with the kids and try and play ball with the real ball players and to play with somebody like Dave or Magic, or there's a guy named Maurice McHartley, and it just goes on and on. I can't name everybody, but the fact is that, guys, we thought we could. I gotta tell you one more story. You remember Benny Napoleon, used to be chief here? Benny was guarding George Gervin. He was watching George Gervin. And I'll never forget this. Down here, George Gervin is driving to the basket, and Benny was trying to guard him. And George Gervin stopped. He said, "Hey, young fellow," he said, "I get paid for this stuff, you know." He said, "Don't try this stuff." And Benny said, he said, "That stopped me forever." And that's the truth. This is what we tried to do. But think about this in terms of the joy of guys like me and other people from the city all around the state who came and played ball at the Saint, but also with the pros that were here who gave of their time. Dan Kennedy was one of those people who went on to become a great guy from University of Detroit. And of course, Coach Izzo came down and helped our team. I'm a Michigan State guy, Coach, you know that. So, but the reality is that there are things that we tried to do, and now it's coming to fruition. It's really been great, and I'm so happy at my age that I can continue to be an active part of this. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you again, Mayor Bing and Ike McKinnon. Thank you so much. Two legends of our city. I'm a Michigan State grad as well, and I heard a rumor that you're allowed to call in one favor as a Michigan State alum in your life, and I'm going to call that favor in right now. Coach Izzo, if I can embarrass you for a minute and have you come up. I don't want to take his story, but when we called Coach Izzo, he said, "I wouldn't miss it for the world." You know how many days I spent sweating my you-know-what off in that gym. So I'd like for him to share a little story real quick.
Thanks, Rick. Well, first of all, I'm mad at you. And when I saw Mitch up here speaking, and the mic was down here, I thought for the first time in my career, I'd go to the mic and raise it up. I always got to lower it down. So he let me down, Mitch. I was supposed to follow you because I would have got a chance to do that. But I want to say my first recollection of this place was Magic. I came down as a GA. He was still living in town. It was his 5th year in the NBA. And they worked out on Tuesdays and Thursdays in East Lansing. And Thursday they weren't going to be here. And I said, "Oh, where are you going?" "Oh, I'm going down to the Saint." He goes, "The Pistons will be there. This guy will be there. Probably Vinny was there. Probably Isaiah was there." They were all there. And that was my first recollection of this incredible place. I saw Sam Jr. here, and I felt naked when I walked in that door, and Big Sam Washington wasn't sitting there because I walked by him many a times. I'm a little disappointed, too, that we put air conditioning in here for this event. These people should be no more entitled than I was when I came here, and that's when we came in here, and there was sweat, and people were slipping on the ground, and people were playing, and you know what? Nobody sued anybody or nothing. They just played, Those were the good old days. Those are the days that I really appreciated about this place. And I would like to say this to all of you. For Magic, I didn't recruit him, of course, but the Steve Smiths and Sean Resperts that played here that we did get, the Jalen Roses and Chris Webbers that we didn't get. It's the one time when we've got a Syracuse guy, we've got a Clipper, We've got all different people from all different areas. I'm from the UP. It's up that area where there's 11 months of winter, 1 month of poor sledding, way in the hell up there. And yet, this place is sacred ground. And it's kind of cool to see everybody band together, because when the people in this city are doing better, our state is doing better. I told Arntellum, when our teams, when our pro or college teams win, our state is doing better. There is no question that in the last 10 years, the state has not been as good with players because they don't have places to go and compete. I saw some of the greatest coaches, I mean high school coaches, that coached here. I came here as a real young assistant just to admire and see the great college coaches that were here. I just tried to rub elbows with. So this place has been special. When we get it back, hopefully we fix it up, get rid of the air conditioning so that we get back to unentitlement, and watch people that are given an opportunity grow, because those people will grow. If they're given an opportunity and are around people that have been successful, like Earl, like Dave, like Vinny. I mean, there's so many people. And then I talked to Steve Smith on my way down here, and I said, Smitty, he's down in Atlanta. I said, Smitty, you remember those days when Johnny Golston was chasing you around with a paddle? Just think, Steve, if I did that today, them were the good old days when, you could push people. Benny White was here earlier. So I just want to say it doesn't matter. The great thing about charities, I don't care where you're from. And I don't care which team you pull for. Pro, college, anything else. This is one time that we all band together. And for me to have a chance to meet Steve, to be around 3 of our mayors that have done such a tremendous job in this city as it's grown, to meet some of all of you, it's a thrill for me. I'd like to bring it back. And Sam Jr., your butt better be sitting there when they reopen this place, and bring back the memories of your dad. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Coach Izzo. I hope I still have that favor in my back pocket somewhere now. All right, now I'd like to bring up our former mayor, Mike Duggan. Mike, if you would join us up here. Just building on what Mitch said, Mike played such an instrumental role in Say Detroit being the organization. This is our 20th anniversary. We go back to 2006, and Mayor Duggan had a huge footprint on that along the way. So we'd like to hear a few words from him. Thank you.
All right. Well, I got to say, the people of the city and the children of the city will never be able to thank Mitch Albom and Say Detroit enough for what they've done. Mitch completely understated the challenge. When I heard him say on the radio he wanted to do a rec center, I basically moved in with him until he picked one in Detroit. And Lipke, which he said had good bows, he left out the part where he called to yell at me to say they'd stolen the air handling equipment off the roof. The place had been closed for years and was on the demolition list. The neighborhood around it, which was once a vibrant neighborhood, had 1/3 of the houses boarded up. And it had been closed because there were no children. When Mitch came in and said, I think we can make this do something special, the first thing he did was cover over the pool in the lower level, and he put in a computer room. He says, I'm going to make this as much about education and tutoring and mentoring as I am about sports. Then I said, how'd you get the basketball court fixed up? He says, the Pistons hired this new guy that just came to town, Arntellum. And the first donation he made was to the Lipke Center basketball court. Arn would then proceed to bring the rest of the Pistons back to Detroit, where they belong, but that was the first step. And he got the Illiches to do the baseball fields. He got Matthew Stafford to do the football field. And a place that had closed because there was no children were bursting at the seams where he came to me and said, I got to do an expansion. I've got so many kids. At 7 Mile and Van Dyke. And he gets Matthew and Kelly Stafford to put up the money, builds a 15,000 square foot expansion. And if you go by there now, I kid you not, all of those houses are renovated and occupied. They anchored the recovery of the whole neighborhood. It is almost indescribable. And as Mitch knows, the appreciation you get for working a miracle is to ask for a second one. And so when I talked to him about the west side, and he says, do you have any suggestions? I said, I have no idea what the condition of the building is in, but nothing would matter more to the people of Detroit than that St. Cecilia Center. And that was my contribution to the cause. 2 years later, I walk in the door, and you've got Steve Ballmer back in Michigan making a huge donation, and around with Gary Torgels and the Arntellums and a lot of the others. But you have the legends of Detroit past coming together for the children of Detroit's future. This is magic, and Mitch, thank you for everything that you have done.
Thank you, Mayor Duggan. And I promise we won't be here all day. I know it is warm in here. I wanted to bring up now Eric Reed. Eric is the executive director of the Say Detroit Play Center at Lipke Park. Yes, and you beat me to the punch. And I'd like to introduce who just recently completed his degree, Dr. Eric Reed. Eric's going to tell you a little bit about what we do on the east side and what we're hoping to replicate over here as well.
Thank you, Rick. I'll move your notes out. Good afternoon, everyone. What an amazing, amazing day. 5 years ago, I was hired as the executive director for the Say Detroit Play Center at Lipke Park after numerous conversations and interviews with Mitch, Rick, and Rosie. And I got to tell you guys, the conversations that me and Rick and Rosie had they were incredible. I've never laughed so hard in an interview. I didn't even think that you were supposed to do that, but they took a chance on me. Their expectation was not only to restore, but to expand the impactful work that began at the Say Detroit Play Center in 2015 that had been stunted when the pandemic hit. Over the course of the last 4 years, we made tremendous, tremendous strides in the areas of youth enrollment, youth participation, youth retention, which is critical, reading proficiency, expanded community partnerships, and preparing young people for not only post-secondary education, but for vocational opportunities. With regard to our participant growth, I'm sorry, I'm looking over my shoulder, we have roughly 300 kids a day coming through the center. Not all of those kids are actually enrolled, but we try to open up the facility as a community space. Right now we have this past year, we had about 150 kids a day who were enrolled and coming through our programs 4 to 5 days a week. And that was a 20% increase from the previous year. This summer, we're currently operating our 6-week summer program through Summer Discovery, and again, thanks Steve and Connie through the Ballmer Group. We currently have 170 of our own kids each and every day from 8 to 4 p.m., and we've got another 70 plus kids through a partnership with Peace Players Detroit. And so we're, as Rick mentioned, we're busting at the seams each and every day. But that number for us, 170 kids, also marks a 20% increase in student participation from last year. Additionally, we've had over 1,200 students that have come through and participate in what we call one-offs, our sports camps, and we've done a number of football camps, basketball camps, volleyball camps, cheer camps, and baseball camps, in addition to esports and drone competitions, teen health summits, social justice, and collegiate prep programming. And our academic outcomes are amazing. In the course of our 2025-26 school year, 100% of our students who were tested as non-readers became readers in that school year. Additionally, 100% of our students moved at least one grade level during the school year, and we had many students who moved 2 grade levels. And when we looked at our overall academic success, our cumulative student grade point average was 3.1, which is amazing. And so when we talk about our reach and we talk about community a lot, this past year we collaborated with 20 community partners who came in and provided not only activities, but provided supports to our students. And we expect that number to grow to close to 30 in our upcoming school year. We enrolled students for more than 50 schools in 2025-26, We transported more than 100 kids per day from 18 schools each and every day from their schools to our site. And then at the end of the day, we took roughly 80%, close to 90% of those students home, not back to their schools, not to designated drop-off spots, but to their front doors. And this summer and last summer, we expanded transportation in the morning where we're actually picking up upwards of 100 students every day and bringing them to our summer camp. And lastly, we continue to prepare young people to obtain certifications, internships, and employment opportunities in areas such as robotics, advanced manufacturing, drones, esports, broadcasting, fashion design, and culinary arts, which is a new certification program that's coming on board this September. Our growth wouldn't be possible, as Rick and as Mitch alluded, without the amazing sponsorships and supports that we've gotten from Steve and Connie Ballmer, Matt and Kelly Stafford, and so many others. And we truly thank you for your support. And before I close, I have to acknowledge our dedicated and talented staff and the many volunteers who come to our center each day to educate, mentor, and support our students. And I'd like our staff to stand up, all the staff that are here. Thank you, guys. The success of the Say Detroit Play Center has shown us what's possible on the east side of Detroit, and we are committed to bringing the same life-changing impacts to youth on Detroit's west side. Thank you so much. And now the fun part. I'd like my 3 students to come to the stage: Dewan McCurry, Karina McClure-Jones, and Danzel Driver, Jr. So we're gonna go ladies first, but before I turn over the mic, just a quick snippet about each one. And I'll start with Dewan because he's the oldest. Dewan graduated last year from the Ford Theater of Performing Arts in Midtown Detroit. And it's amazing. If you've been in our building, one of the things that we do when we do tours is we show them the pictures of Tom Gores and Earl Curitan and everybody that's come through there to support our center. And in the first picture, dating back to 2015, and there's another 2016, Dewan was in the picture. He was 9 years old. He just graduated from high school, and he's just finished his freshman year at Pratt Munson College for the Arts in New York, in Utica, New York. And Karina has been at the Say Play Center since I've been there, and again, it's been 5 years. She is an incoming freshman at Martin Luther King High School, and she's an amazing athlete, and everything that we ask her to do at the center, she just jumps in and does it. So thank you for being with us. And last but not least, the big fella, Denzel Driver Jr. Denzel graduated this year from Centerline High School, basketball player. He's traveled with Peace Players to South Africa as a part of International Friendship Games, and he's attending Macomb Community College in the fall. So just want you all to welcome our amazing scholars.
Good afternoon, and thank you for coming. My name is Karina McClure, and I'm 14 years old. Today, we are not just celebrating a new building, but a new opportunity for kids who want to grow up and be successful. I've been attending Safe Play for 7 years, and it's a big part of my life. This new building will give kids a safe space to learn, play, create, and build new pathways to a new world. Say Play has a welcoming and heartwarming atmosphere. The staff members inspire young people to do good and guide them toward a strong future. This building is not just about new things. It's about creating a village that supports you in everything you do. This is more than a recreation center. It's a family, not by blood, but by heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Karina. And we're going to turn it over to Denzel. Stick this way up for you, big fella.
Good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Denzel Driver, and I've been attending Safe Play since I was in 8th grade. And as you know, I'm graduated. So it's a big thanks. I can never thank too much for Rick, Mitch, Mr. Eric. It's a lot of things I cannot give enough, because not only have they led me into their family that's at Safe Play Detroit, they came with welcome hands. I thought it was just gonna be about basketball and food, to be honest, but way more, you know. My academics skyrocketed. I was not around the right crowd at first, and they said, "You're a respectful young man, you're not around the right people." So they showed me the right way, and I have graduated with a 3.4. It was, I could do better, but it was way better than what I was doing, I can tell you that. So, not only that, I'm a part of this leadership program, the Peace Players. They have showed me core values like seeing people as people, culture and collaboration, and inside transformation is being the change you want to see, you know? So if I want to be the change I want to see, I have to stand out and be a leader. And they led me to go to Africa, and it's such a big opportunity for me to be able to say thank you in front of everybody that's here, and I appreciate everyone. Thank you.
Hello, guys. Hi, my name is Dewama Curry. I am a photographer, and I can say that I'm a photographer because I attended Say Play. If I would have never stepped into this new world of family and home, then I don't think I would have found what my heart is really in and what I am really passionate for. Say Play to me is more than just a building, more than just where you go to like after school. It's a community, it's a bond, and because they have shown that when you believe in your students, you will get the best outcome from your students. I have become the best person that I truly feel like I am, and I am still growing as a man, and that is because Say Play, I am a better man, because if anybody who's here know me when I was a little kid, I was a handful, but that's not my fault, y'all. But because there was a community to show me how to be a man, a black man, specifically, I have found something that makes me me. I have found what makes Dewan, and that's my love for people and my love for photography. And I cannot thank Mr. Eric, Miss Keeley, Miss Cooper, all of the staff members that were there from the beginning to show me that you're not a bad kid. You're not just from the hood. You can be more if you put your heart and your soul into what you believe in. And because they poured into me, I can now pour into myself. And hopefully, when the time comes, I can pour back into my community. So, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Eric. Thank you so much, Mitch Albom. Yeah.
Love you guys.
Thank you all, and we're going to bring Rick back to the stage.
Woo! That's a tough act to follow. Thank you, guys. Can I hear it for the students one more time, please? Thank you. This is really why we're here today, and I get choked up, but that was great stuff. So I'm sorry. I'm very sorry now to do this, Mayor Sheffield, but you got to follow that act. So if I could bring up our current mayor, our new mayor, can I still say new mayor, and an overall advocate for our great citizens, Mayor Sheffield.
Wow, that is a tough act to follow. Can we give it up again for our young people? That truly touched my heart. To hear how they literally have found their gift, their voice, and their identity in this place speaks volumes. So thank you all for sharing your story. It is truly a pleasure to join you all, to Steve Ballmer, to Mitch Albom, Mayor Duggan, Mayor Bean, and to all of our community partners and leaders that are here today to celebrate such a transformational investment in our young people here in the city of Detroit. As you all have heard, for generations, St. Cecilia has served as an anchor in this community, providing mentorship, guidance, structure, and discipline for so many of our young people. My husband actually played here for many years, and I told him that I was coming here today, and he said, make sure you let them know that this was the Mecca, that the Saint was the Mecca of basketball in the state of Michigan. It was a training ground for countless basketball legends while also shaping the lives of generations of Detroiters. And today, we begin to write the next chapter of that legacy. With Mitch and Say Detroit has accomplished on the east side of Detroit, transforming the vacant Lipke Recreational Center into the first play center has been nothing short of extraordinary. And now by transforming this historic site, the organization will double the number of young people served while breathing new life into this most iconic community landmark in our city. This center brings together academics, athletics, community, culture, creating a place where young people have access to training both inside and outside of the classroom. I have to say, as mayor, I am deeply humbled and grateful to welcome this project under this administration. Our priorities are around young people, investing in our youth, and also we have shared a very ambitious goal of creating quality after-school programming within a 2-mile radius of every school in the city of Detroit. So you are helping us reach that goal. This administration has already expanded after-school programming. We've allocated over $1.5 million to occupy the summer. We have extended recreational hours in most of our rec centers to 11 p.m. now. We have also brought back late-night basketball, and we have activations all around the city for our young people. So again, we thank you for aligning with this administration's vision of investing in our young people. We also recently announced a new program called Ride to Rise, which allows all of our K-12 students to ride DDOT transportation for free. And because of that, and that is year-round to get to and from school, extracurricular activities, places like this. And since we've made that announcement, ridership has doubled for our young people in the city of Detroit. But we know that government cannot do this work alone, and it truly takes the support of organizations and philanthropy to support our young people. So Mitch, I want to say thank you for your unwavering commitment to Detroit's young people. Through Say Detroit, you have demonstrated year after year that when we invest in children, we change the trajectory of families and strengthen our communities. And the Ballmer Group has continued to demonstrate what meaningful philanthropy looks like. Their investment across Detroit, from education to summer learning, you are helping every child, regardless of their zip code, have the chance to succeed and reach their full potential. So congratulations to everyone who made this vision possible, and thank you for continuing to invest in our greatest asset, which is our young people. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mayor Sheffield. We're just about finished here, so those of you who are sweating through your shirts, don't worry, you won't sweat through your pants. I just want to make one observation. I always look for little things at big events. We got a lot of famous people here, and they come up and get rounds of applause, but isn't it interesting that the biggest, noisiest applause is for the guy who's the director of our center, who could, under other circumstances, be seen as the big bad boss, the guy that people don't like, the one that kids are afraid of. And instead, when Eric Reed got up here, this place exploded. And that's how loved he is, and that's what we try to create at our center. Eric, I want to thank you on behalf of that, to create that whole environment. And now I want to welcome Steve Ballmer to come up and say a few remarks before we close. I can't say that I knew Steve for many years, but I can say that in the short period of time that I've known Steve, I've been extraordinarily impressed. First of all, there aren't that many people in the world who can say they replaced Bill Gates, okay? I think there's one, and he's here. But before he was at Harvard, and before Microsoft, and before all that success, Steve was one of us, a Detroiter. Country Day, Lawrence Tech, Farmington Hills. His mom grew up literally less than a mile from where we're sitting right here. And as we know in Detroit, what makes us different, I think, than all the other cities in America is once you're from here, you can never be from any place else. I don't care where you move or how far you go. So a native son has agreed to help us launch in a major, major way, and I want to say thank you and welcome to Steve Ballmer.
Well, I am pumped up to be here, I have to say. And if you weren't pumped, the rest of you, when you got here, just the energy, the excitement, hearing from the young people, I got to say, it'd be impossible not to be, at least for me, not to be inspired. I hope that's true for all of you. I'm here basically today for about 5 reasons. I'm going to go through them quickly, since it is now very hot in here, very hot, so I'm going to try to be quick. Number one, and I just want to agree with Mitch, I'm from Detroit. I identify as being from Detroit. My wife doesn't get it. She doesn't get it. She's from Portland. We live in Seattle. I've lived in Seattle for 46 years. And when any time anybody asks me where I'm from, I say I'm from Detroit, of course. I don't quite get it, but you just don't lose it. I don't know if it's the grit, the grind, the underdog mentality, but I'm from Detroit. I'm from the Detroit of Al Kaline. Some of you aren't old enough to know that. I'm from the Detroit of Joe Schmidt. I drew a picture of that, my favorite middle linebacker, when I was a first grader. I'm from the Detroit of Gordie Howe. I'm from the Detroit of Dave Big. Now, I didn't play here at St. Cecilia's and all that like Ike, but when I was outside in front of my house as a high school kid, Dave Bing, we'd be shouting out, oh, hoo, hoo, we made the ball, eagle in the basket, we are Dave Bing today. Bob Lanier, Dave Bing, Jimmy Walker. We even like the guys who weren't quite as good, Steve Mix, Bob Quick. I know what happened on February 21st of 1971. 54 points, Dave Bing. Detroit for our family was really a land of opportunity. My dad was an immigrant. He moved here from Switzerland right after World War II, shortly after World War II. He had a couple friends here. They sponsored him. He came with nothing, and he had opportunity here. And he worked his way up to a place where he could give us a good living, good education. My grandparents on my mom's side came here. I don't have many cousins left, but they're all right here. And all of our folks came from Russia, the Dworkin clan, Froyam, Zissel, Yetta, Ida, Sam, Shlomo, my grandfather, all came here and all found opportunity here in Detroit. My grandfather was basically a junk dealer, not far from here. Always had a store over on Grand River. And that's my attachment. That's why I'm here today, is because of my love for Detroit. Number two, as Mitch said, my mom did grow up about, maybe it's a mile and a half from here. She went to Central High School. All of our parents and grandparents all of our parents went to Central High School here. When my mom was young, this was the Jewish neighborhood. And all of I am Jewish. All of my Jewish roots are here. And I associate that, and I feel closer when I'm here in Detroit. But this is my mom's neighborhood. It doesn't look the same, but I love to see it kind of coming back. We had a chance to visit Durfee probably 4 or 5 years ago. We went past Durfee and took a look, went inside, and it's good to see energy and vitality coming back into this specific neighborhood. So that's reason number two. Reason number three, I know this is going to shock some of you, basketball. Mitch says basketball. Mitch says St. Cecilia's. I say, ooh, now this is pretty special. This might matter. Yeah, my mom grew up here. Yeah, it's in Detroit, but this is St. Cecilia's. When I was in high school, probably 1972, maybe 1973, I came down here. I couldn't play a lick of basketball. I was cut, never made, I made the no-cut team in 9th grade. Sorry, coach, but I did do the statistics at the games. But anyway, I wanted to see first-class basketball. So a friend of mine and I came down here. He pretended like he could play. I sat right over there and just watched because it was such an incredible place to be and just the mecca of basketball. I didn't know the history, actually, of St. Cecilia's. I thought the whole concept went back years and years. When I was preparing to be here today, the notion that it was born out of the strife around the riots, the rebellion, that was, my grandfather lived down here at the time. He was down on Wabash near Grand River, not far from here. Those were emotional times. We had just moved back. My dad had been transferred. He was with Ford, and we were coming back. But it was a pretty emotional time. And to think that this great thing was born of that great difficulty, that's really special. To me, it's nice when things don't have to be born out of calamity, but it's great to see communities come together in times of calamity. That's the third reason I'm here, basketball. The fourth reason, and probably really the most important reason, is kids. My wife and I, we've been very blessed, very, very blessed financially, and the thing that we care most about is giving every kid in the U.S. the kind of opportunity that we had. I had a mom who literally drove me every day to high school and picked me up from high school at Country Day. I had a mom who listened. My sister's here. We'd tell her our day. Mom, and I'd literally go from first period on down, starting in about third grade that happened. My mom could be there for me. Not every kid has that opportunity. Not every kid has a mom who can take the time my mom could. We were lucky. We were fortunate. Somehow, for our immigrant parents and grandparents, things worked out, and they worked out very well. And every kid in America, in my opinion, deserves that opportunity. And so when we started getting active philanthropically, we do things nationally. We do things in Seattle, where we live, in the Northwest, where my wife's from. We bought a basketball team that occasionally beats the Pistons down in Los Angeles. Come on, come on, come on. When it's not Clippers, Pistons, I know who I'm rooting for. I root for the Pistons, but you got to give me some. I bleed Clipper. I hemorrhage Piston maybe, but I bleed Clipper. In any event, we have operation there, and I said, we got to do stuff in Detroit, actually in Southeast Michigan more broadly. So we work in the 3 counties, Wayne, Oakland, and Macomb. I say Detroit, but I know there's needs for kids if they're going to get ahead across the Tri-County region, and we focused here. We hired Kylie Mitchell-Wells. Stand up, Kylie. Kylie runs all the giving we do here in the Detroit area, and actually we are, under Kylie's leadership, we're setting up our giving here under a new structure. We call it Move Up Southeast Michigan, and it will be a permanent foundation here to serve the kids of Detroit long past the time that Connie and I aren't around. We've also had the pleasure to fund many organizations in the area over the last 11 years. I'll just throw out some so you get a sense of what we do. Pontiac Schools, Macomb Community College, D-Live, the Boys and Girls Clubs, RX Kids, Teach for America, CATA with the union. It was the union when we went and visited, an after-school program, Oakland Family Services. I think we've made a total of, maybe 150 grants to not-for-profits here in the Detroit area, and are really proud of the work that they all do. The other thing I'm very proud of, it's the most fun thing I've ever done philanthropically we do here in Detroit. We started a program that was called Summer Discovery, now Discover Works, and this summer we have 65,000 kids enrolled in the program here in the Detroit area, less affluent kids. 5 weeks, summer program, 8 hours. They're delivering it at Lipke. I was driving here. We drove over to Central High. There's a Boys and Girls Club. They had a nice little Discover Works. There's a group of kids. They had a little bit of English in the morning, a little bit of math, and then they get camp, enrichment type stuff in the afternoon. 65,000 kids. That's the happiest you're going to make me, other than the dedication of the remodel of St. Cecilia's for Say Play. The last reason I'm here, maybe it was the first reason, Mitch asked me. You gotta ask. I met Mitch, I think we really only met one other time. We are donors to the Lipke Say Play Center. Mitch came out, we were touring the site just a year ago, I think, and Mitch and I exchanged contact information, and he reached out and said, hey, we're going to do this project at St. Cecilia's. Would you be interested? And for all the reasons I ran through, I said sure. And so today we're announcing a $5 million gift for the Say Play Center here. So, some of you work here. Do a great job. I met the guy who's doing the remodel. Do a good job. Some of you, the city, you need to support what's going on here. Please, Mayor, do a good job. I met the mayor in a Piston Clipper game, actually. We sat together. That was kind of fun. There's a lot of people who have to do good work. They need not only our financial support, but they need our emotional support. For those of you who have yet to give and have capacity, consider this an ask. Let's get this project finished. Thank you all very much.
Before you go, you mentioned something. You talked about your mother, and this is a place of legacy. Sam Washington Jr. is here because his dad created this place. You spoke so eloquently about your mother. She obviously created you in the life that you have. So in honor of her, we want to show you a slide here about how this place is going to be named. The B. Dworkin Say Detroit Play Center at Lipke Park, at St. Cecilia's.
Well, I just want to thank everyone again for spending your afternoon with us. Truly special day. We'll be back here in about 2 years for our real grand opening, and we hope to see a lot of you here as well. But thank you to all of you that support our efforts, and thank you to all of you that came today. Please feel free to stick around and check out the area. We have the school open, and we'll be giving tours. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the Ballmer family. Have a great afternoon. Let's go.